Hey, my name's Eric, and I'm listening to 100 albums in 100 days. For all the details on what I'm doing and why, go check out the video I have pinned in my profile. Today, I listened to the 1975 album Venus and Mars from Paul McCartney and Wings. I had never heard anything from Wings other than Silly Little Love Songs, which came out in the 70s. And the only reason I had heard that was when I was a kid, probably 7 or 8 maybe, so that would be 1977, 1978, my parents bought me this K-Tel compilation album. I don't know if you remember K-Tel. They would sell records on TV all the time. You'd buy them and they'd mail them to you. They bought me this K-Tel compilation album called Get Up and Boogie. And I think the reason they bought it for me was because it had the theme to SWAT, which was my favorite show when I was a little kid. The theme to Beretta. I mean, what 7-year-old watches Beretta? And it also had the theme to Welcome Back Kotter on it. And I think that's why they bought me that album. I don't know. That's all I can imagine is of why they bought that. But it also had 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. It had Sarah Smile from Daryl Hall and John Oates. And it also had Silly Little Love Song by Wings. So that's the only experience I have with Wings. And so I wanted to listen to something from, basically Paul McCartney's second band. And I had one picked out, and a friend of mine who's a Beatles fan, I told him that's what I was listening to. He's like, "Oh, don't listen to that album." He said, "Listen to Venus and Mars. If you want to stay within the time range that you've laid out." He was, "Listen to Venus and Mars. Don't listen to that." The original album I had picked out was Back to the Egg, and he was like, "You'll hate life if you listen to that." So I listened to Venus and Mars. And I got to tell you, there just wasn't a whole lot on this album that was for me. I did like Rock Show, which is the second track on the album. Liked that a lot. I liked Magneto and Titanium Man, which is literally based on a Marvel comic book. And I like Medicine Jar. That's a really rocking track. Those are the three I like. Now I did like, so the album opens up with a little acoustic piano number called Venus and Mars. I wasn't really thrilled with it, but the first track on side 2 of the album is the same song. It's called Venus and Mars Reprise. The music is a little more spacey. I don't want to say psychedelic, but it's a little more, I guess theatrical maybe, spacey. That kind of. You just have to listen to it. The vocals are a lot different, and I like the vocals better. The track just seems way more produced than the first track on the album. I like the reprise. It was a surprise to hear it because I figured since I didn't like the first version of it, I wouldn't like this. I really like the reprise version of it. Save those 4 songs, there just wasn't a whole lot else on the album that I cared for. There are some things that I kind of started, bobbing my head and tapping my finger on the desk, but it just never grabbed me. None of it ever grabbed me except for those 4 that I just mentioned. So, at least I tried them. At least I tried Wings. My friend literally told me never to listen to the other album, so I'm not going to. They have another album called Band on the Run, but it was outside of my timeline of 75 through 95. I might go listen to that because apparently that's their best album. So I might give that a listen. I won't be giving this one a listen ever again, probably. Save maybe those 4 tracks, 1 or 2 of those tracks that I mentioned. It was just kind of a bust. But hey, I listened to Paul McCartney and Wings. So there you go.